The distinguished Deputy Minister for Tourism Products and Events, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republik Indonesia, Ibu Rizky Handayani. Thank you for hosting and facilitating this conference, Ibu. The Director of Tourism Products and Special Interests, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republik Indonesia, Ibu Adela Rao. The distinguished speakers, Mr. Dave Murphy, Boston Marathon, Manabu Tanaka-san, Sports Director of Tokyo Marathon, Dr. Jim Baharal, President CEO of Honolulu Marathon, Mr. Li Wong, Associate Professor of Sport Department of China Foreign Affairs, Larry Batlow, Thailand Road Race, Ministry of Sports and Youth of Republik Indonesia, Director of Industry and Promotion Product, Ibu Sri Wahyuni. Selamat siang, Ibu. Event Coordinator of Ministry of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you the health protocol of meetings. To always wear masks, wash hand or use hand sanitizer regularly, keep the physical distancing, and please stay on the same seat until last session. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Before we continue with our conference today, let's take a moment of silence for prayer. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the world has been struggling to fight against the pandemic for the last 9 months. Mass participation events, sport tourism, marathon, and tourism in general are facing a challenging time as well. However, we are all in the same spirit to recover from this situation. Let's update each other. Without further ado, please give a round of applause to Ibu Rizky Handayani for her keynote speech.
take out. Saya buka maskernya, katanya boleh karena sendiri di depan. Okay. Good afternoon, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Selamat siang and good morning in the Honolulu or good evening in Honolulu. Honorable Mr. Li Wang, Associate Professor of Sport Department of China Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alan Evans from Standard Chartered Dubai Marathon, Mr. Manabu Tanaka from Tokyo Marathon, Mr. Larry Batrov from Thai Road Race, and all the speakers from international speakers, and also my colleague from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth and Sport, from the Police Department, and all the audience that come, or participant who comes today in these events. First of all, praise to God Almighty that have given us health and grace so we can gather on these occasions. International Hybrid Conference Global Marathon, Market Updates 2020, with the theme Spirit of Recovery. I think this theme is very touchy. I mean, this is why we gather here, because we have the same spirit to recover from these situations. I'd like to thank all fellow speakers for being able to attend this hybrid conference and share information about market trends and give updates on sport tourism industry, especially in marathon. As we know, during COVID-19 pandemic, during COVID-19 pandemic, we all do everything to restrain the spread of the virus. The government established restriction policy, and we are encouraged to avoid the crowd. Thus, the traveling activities gradually decreasing and affected some industry which moving the economy. Tourism industry is one of the industry which is most affected by this. UNWTO study stated that tourism dominated by 80% of small medium enterprises and thousands of livelihoods, which are the sectors that are vulnerable to being even worsely affected. So we see right now a lot of store is closed, a lot of hotel not operate, although gradually now it's open again, but most of the hotel, especially in the region, still closed. Specifically on sport tourism is one of the tourism industry which is experiencing turbulence. Mostly sport events are forced to be postponed during pandemic because of the restriction policy. And some of the events, but I'm really appreciate and I'm really surprised that most the events changing from the offline event become the hybrid events. You know, as 2 weeks ago, I think we know Borobudur Marathon still running, yeah, but with this very limited participants. But this is still to show the spirit, I mean, and also we hope later all the marathon in the world, you know, show that the marathon implemented the protocol. That's very important. After we always evaluate
the spirit, I mean marathon.
We evaluate the event that we did, you know, and then we support and to know whether that there is an effect. If there is
Needed energy support.
the viewers or the participant that after the events they get the COVID or not. This is a very important to trace that. Ladies and gentlemen, the marathon event, especially that involves a lot of people in its implementation, should be guided with health protocol to prevent the COVID-19 transmissions. Based on that, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, together with the other sectors, I mean all the stakeholders, has set up and published this CHSE protocol handbook for marathon organizers, with the aim that marathon organizers are able to organize marathon event during the pandemic based on the health protocol. Although we understand that it depends on the regions. it depends on the COVID-19 situation in the regions. Jakarta right now is increase again the COVID. I mean, it's really wise if we cancel that, we delay that, yeah. So we need to understand also that during this pandemic, the health condition is most important than others, because the impact is because if we still doing the events, and then the result, a lot of korban ya, the victims of this the COVID is not good for the brand of the city, also the brand of the event itself. With the implementation of CHSE protocol handbook for marathon, we do hope Indonesia will be ready to carry out sport event again, especially in which is safely and comfortably for all parties. Furthermore, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy invites all stakeholders in sport tourism, especially in marathons, to be able to see various market potential and trends in sport activities, and develops activities that are attractive and suitable to the existing market. I hope in this discussion we can find maybe the new way on doing the marathons, still give the benefit for the organizers. I know that the organizers, when they do the events, they need the I mean, what you call it, the income, yeah. I mean, to do this. So how we can support? I mean, all the stakeholders support not only the organizer but also the small medium enterprises that involved in these events also can be supported by us. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope all of us can gain new insight from this webinar, with the result that the information and the insight can pandemic. Sehingga teman-teman, terus terang di Jakarta ya, Bapak itu sudah terjaga, tapi ternyata kena juga. Kita semua harus tetap jaga kesehatan kita, jaga vitamin. Saya COVID, tapi alhamdulillah most of them is OTG ya, tanpa gejala. Jadi kita semua ini benar-benar harus saling menjaga satu sama lain dan mengingatkan satu sama lain. Terima kasih, stay strong and keep going. Tetap di rumah aja, tetap di rumah aja. Kalau tidak perlu keluar, tidak perlu keluar. Jaga jarak, jaga Indonesia, jaga industri pariwisata Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Kiki, for the beautiful messages for us. Hope we can take it all in to reinvent, revive, and reset the way we do events. Ibu Kiki, please stay on the stage, as we would like to have a picture with all participants here and virtual. Oh, okay. Di situ aja. Okay, baik. I would like to invite everyone in the room to please stand up. Foto bersama di dalam ruangan. Mungkin boleh melihat ke kamera, nanti dibantu ya Mas, aba-aba ya. Baik. Baik, Bapak Ibu, mungkin boleh melihat ke kamera? Oke. Oke. 3, 2, 1. Oke, sekali lagi ya Bapak Ibu ya. 3, 2, 1. Oh, boleh gaya bebas mungkin, Mas? Oh, boleh gaya bebas Bapak Ibu, silahkan. Mungkin boleh langsung melihat ke kamera. Oke, semuanya begini. Oke, sudah siap ya Mas ya? 3, 2, 1. Oke, baik. Gaya bebas lagi ya? Oke. Gaya bebas lagi Bapak Ibu, silahkan angkat tangannya semuanya. 3, 2, 1. Oke, terima kasih Bapak Ibu sekalian. Boleh silakan duduk kembali. Baik, terima kasih Bapak Ibu atas foto bersama kita yang seru sekali. Baik, kita akan berlanjut ke acara selanjutnya, yaitu untuk participants yang melalui virtual ya. As for all participants in Zoom, please switch on your video. Okay, thank you. Ibu Kiki, thank you very much. And now for the first session of the conference, let's jumpstart your step into crowd. We will begin with panelists, Manabu Tanaka-san, Tokyo Marathon, Mr. Li Wong, Associate Professor of Sport Department of China Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alan Evans, Dubai Marathon, Mr. Larry Barthlow, Thai Road Race Consultant, and I would like to hand over the floor to our moderator, Bapak Endang Mawardi, the CEO of Inspiro Group Jakarta Marathon. Please give a big applause.
Tes. Speakernya bisa dinaikin lagi nggak? Baik Bapak Ibu, sambil menunggu ini Zoom-nya ada sedikit trouble barusan. Terima kasih untuk kedatangannya Bapak Ibu. Lihat di sini ada dari Pak Basit, terima kasih juga Pak Leo, ada Dispora dari Taman Mini mewakili Pak Tandri dan juga dari Dinkes ya, Kemenkes. Bisa dinaikkan? Saya izin pakai menggunakan face shield ya. Baik, sudah mulai. Udah bisa? Are we back already? Sebentar ya, Bapak Ibu, tunggu sebentar. Ini udah pada makan siang semua belum? Ada yang belum nih pasti. Sebentar lagi nanti ada coffee break. Mudah-mudahan bisa isi ganjal buat yang belum sempat makan siang, termasuk saya. Baik. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greeting everyone. My name is Endang Mawardi from Jakarta Marathon. And I will be your host for this session. Thank you, Ibu Kiki, for the remarks. Fortunately, Ibu Kiki she's in the meeting also with the Parliament just now. And also thank you, Ibu Adela Raung, for hosting the event. And we will very much appreciate it of your time to be here as well, karena it's not easy to get them for the off-air event. And welcome to all participants. Yeah, selamat sore, salam sejahtera, and very good to you, all of you. Yang penting we all are in a good health. Okay, let's start the sessions with this distinguished speakers here. Gentlemen, hope you are in a good shape right now. For the first session, we have 4 great speakers. And the first will be Larry Bartlow. I believe he's already on board. He's from the Thailand road race. And will be the second speaker will be Dr. Jim Baharal. I hope you are also online. And the third one will be Manabu Tanakasan, the sports director of the Tokyo Marathon. And the fourth one, the last one but not least, is Mr. Alan Evans, from the media director, Standard Chartered, the Dubai Marathon. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a one-on-one session, so it's not a panel. Each speaker will have 25 minutes to speak, to share the current. Hi, Larry. I can see your face.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Larry. And each speaker will have 25 minutes to share the current and updates of their respective countries, the CAFETs, the strategy to hold an event in these situations, and what are the regulations and the authority. And before end of each session, we will have 10 minutes Q&A. So after the 25 minutes, we'll have 10 minutes of Q&A. I do hope all the participants also here and the virtual prepare for some questions also to the panelists, but we're very limited time. So, okay, Larry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, my name is Larry Bartlow. I'm originally from the Boston, Massachusetts area. Myself, I've been involved in the running market for, over 40 years. It's been a long haul. I started off as an international marathoner. I ran 9 times under 220. I was lucky enough and fortunate that I went to the University of Oregon, which is, if you know anything about schools in the USA, it's a great running school. It's actually where Nike got its start. So I guess you might say that running in the marathon world is in my DNA. So I want to say thank you for everyone. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully we can start the presentation on with the first slide, and we can make things happen. Slide number 1. Okay, basically, what's going on in today's marketplace, okay? I think that when we look at races, we have 2 types of races. We have the local races that, that are great and people do a wonderful, wonderful job. And then we have the international events. I think a lot of people are looking at, how do I take my local event and how do I move it to an international event or a larger event? As I always say, everything starts at home. You know, if you're in the city of Jakarta, it starts here in Jakarta. You have to think about what is going on in the world today. And, you know, with the pandemic and everything else, the most important thing you can look at are the people at home. Look at your home marketplace. So as a race organizer, keep your local running population happy, because this is going to make your event grow, and this is going to be the basis of growing your event. And so, like I always say, it always starts at home. Take care of the people at home, do a good job, and make sure that they're happy. And really, really work hard to keep your local running population happy, because they're the ones who are going to keep you in business. Next slide, please. Engage 365. Every race in the world, I don't care if you're in Southeast Asia, if you're in the Americas, and you're in Europe. We all have the same issues. We all work the same way. Number one is always going to be government. You got to get all your permits in order. You got to get the board of directors with the local governments. You got to have them understand what you're trying to do. If it's a local race for charity, then that's great. Then they need to understand that. If it's an international event, then they need to understand that this is going to be an international event and there's going to be certain things that you need. So engage 365. The race comes, the race goes, the engagement happens all year round. If you want to have a good rapport with your local government, this is the way to do it. And then from the government, you know, the police are essential. Without the police really out there doing their job, it makes your life very, very difficult. I mean, from a safety issue, we have to have the police there. We have to have the road closures. We have to have roads blocked. We have to have order, and we have, you know, and in this time period right now, I think the police take on a special meeting, because they really need to make things happen for you and keep things under control. And I believe in a reach out program to the police department. I believe that, you know, cities are divided into provinces or districts or whatever. Reach out to them. Reach out to all the districts. Make them inclusive and make them feel a part of your event. Obviously, medical is very big, not just because of the pandemic, but we're in Southeast Asia, and you know what? It's warm here. And it's unbelievable coming from a cold weather climate. When I see everyone out there running marathons, I'm amazed how conditioned they are to the weather. And it's very important that you have the right medical situation. And also, you know, when you look at a medical situation, have someone in charge. Hire someone who's going to be a medical person, who's going to be your team leader. Someone who's going to take command of the medical situation and have a command center. So everything is coming into him and he can make the call. Very important. Got to have people out on the course. You got to have bike people on, medical bike people. I can't say enough. And with our weather situation here in Southeast Asia, we really got to make sure that when those runners come through, that we're prepared for, you know, any type of a problem, especially with the heat and dehydration. It's very, very important for us to do that. Next is volunteers. Volunteers are your lifeline. And if you look at the photo, I'm just showing a bunch of people out there handing out water. If you don't have the volunteers, you really don't have a race. The volunteers give you hours and hours of free time out there, and they're working hard. And you know what? It's very important to get them to be enthusiastic. You need to meet with your volunteer captains. You need to train volunteers. You need to tell them what you expect out of them and how you do it. And then from that, you got to have some type of reward. In a lot of races, you know, volunteers will have a special shirt. You do a post-race party for them. Do something special for your volunteers, because without them, we really don't have a sport and we don't have a race. So I really think it's very important to reach out to them, make them feel a part of your race and make them feel special. Again, without them, we really don't have a lot. And that gets into the volunteers. We go out into the neighborhoods or to the different districts in your city. A race, a marathon especially, can be an inconvenience to certain, whether it's a church or a temple or a mosque or whatever. We can be an inconvenience, and people sometimes, or business or restaurant, people get kind of concerned about, how long are the roads are going to be closed down, what's going to happen here. You need to reach out to your people in the neighborhoods. And what I tell people is that before the race, we're all great. Before the race, we're all out there and we're talking to people, we're engaging. I think it's more important post-race, you get out into the neighborhoods and you say, hey, how did it go? Did we do something wrong? Is there something we can improve? How would it work better for you? So engage your people 365, whether it's government, police, medical, volunteers, neighborhoods, engage them. And more importantly, be there after that event. Make sure that, if someone has a question, somebody has a complaint, you need to answer it immediately because it's very, very important that you take care of all matters and take care of it fast. Next slide, please. Look the part. What does this look the part mean? Well, I've been fortunate, I get to go to a lot of races. And when you get to a race, there's nothing better when you see a race and you see a start line or a finish line, of course, and it feels like it's professional. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Look the part. Be aesthetically pleasing. Next slide, please. And if you look, I have 3 slides here. The first one is the Boston Marathon. It's the granddaddy of them all. And, you know that they have a large budget. You got a great finish line. That finish line is up about 2 days, 3 days before the race, and it actually becomes a tourist attraction. They close the road down, and you would not believe the scene there of people taking photos. And it's an iconic, race, obviously. It's the blue and gold of the Boston Marathon with the unicorn in the middle. And it's an iconic symbol in our sport. But yeah, Boston has a big budget. We know that. But I'm going to switch over. If you look at the slide on the right, that's the Bangson 42K. It is a bronze label race, marathon in a little town in Bangson, Thailand. They do a heck of a job with their race. With their start and finish line is very clean. The top photo shows all their volunteers. If you look, they're all branded. And guess what? It takes a lot of people to do it properly. And they do a great job afterwards in making sure that these volunteers feel pretty good about it. They've also done something a little clever. If you look on top, there's a gorilla. Well, Bangson has 3 races, 3 different days. A marathon, a half marathon, and a 10K. The marathon, which is the big race, gets the gorilla. The next the half marathon is like a baboon, and the 10K, the symbol is like a monkey. So they've done a lot with this symbol and really marketing this whole thing. So it's become a collector's item where people are trying to collect all 3 animals. So they've used this to their advantage. But if you look at that, if you look at the bottom slide, it shows the finish, the start-finish line. Look how clean that is. When that guy comes across or that woman comes across the finish line, that's your money shot. Start looks great. Now, if I'm looking for races in Thailand, I see that start, I see that finish. It's where I want to go because it looks the part. And I think it's so important to look the part. And I don't think it takes a lot of energy. I don't think it takes a lot of money. Just pay attention to the details. Okay, next slide, please. Make it interesting. Designing a course, okay, every city is different. We're in Southeast Asia. I'd hate to say it, but no one's going to set a world record in Southeast Asia in the marathon or the half marathon. It's very long. It's very humid. It's going to be. It's a difficult place to run fast, but it's not a difficult place to make it interesting. So when you're designing your course, look to your, if you're in a city, look for iconic landmarks or really cool neighborhoods you can go through. If you're, in a place like a beach or a seacoast town, running by the ocean, I mean, people love that. You're looking to take and you're showing off your city. So try to show the best side of your city, your province, or whatever it may be. It may be architecture, it may be nature, it can be various things, but it's very important to design a course that is interesting to the people out there. And because people are not going to run fast, don't worry about having a few hills. Make it challenging, make it fun. You can sell that to people. And I think sometimes people get caught up in just running fast too much. Running fast is great, We're not going to be Berlin here. We're not going to be Amsterdam. We're not going to be Dubai. We know that. So let's take advantage of what we have here locally. So show off your city, show what makes Jakarta great, what makes Bali great, or what makes another city great, or what makes one of the islands great. This is very important. Post-race activities. I think this is one of those things that post-race activities have been very important in the past. People have had music, they have food and concerts. We're in a different era now. We're in the pandemic world. Do I really know and have the answers at this point of what to do for your post-race? And I think we all have to help each other out here and realize we need to adjust and we need to be flexible. Post-race activities are going to start slow. And I think the runners understand that. I think right now, they're so excited about racing again and running a road race that, we can do something different at the post-race, keep things moving, keep the social distances, keep it going until things are more under control and we feel very secure about our post-race activities. And also, and I know every government has their own rules. And us as race directors, as organizers, we need to adhere strictly to the rules of our governments. And I think that's the way that we move forward. We do what we're asked and we make it happen and not take too many risk or chances because it's not worth it right now. Next slide, please. World Athletics labels. Everybody has been talking about World Athletics labels. What's a label? How do I get a label? Do I need a label? Well, the World Athletics label, first of all, what does it do for you? When you go shopping, you want an Apple computer, you're getting a certain product. You want a Samsung TV, you're getting a product. You want a pair of Levi's, you're getting a quality product. Well, what World Athletics is trying to do is that if you have a label, this means that you are doing certain things properly. You have a course measured properly. Remember, GPS is not a properly measured course. It has to be done in a certain method with a Jones counter. It means that you have the medical people. It means you have volunteers. It means you get the road closure. It means all these things. So me as a citizen runner, I can say, if it's a label event, I expect a certain thing. I expect quality. And that is one reason why you might want to become a label event. And also what it does, it really separates you from your other races in your country. So if you're a label event, people will expect more of you. And I also think it can be used for promotion and also used to help with sponsorship. And a lot of events, and I know in Thailand now, a lot of the sponsors want to see a label event before they're going to give up money. And I think this is maybe a way of the future in this region. The requirements are changing every day. Unfortunately, what we did last year no longer applies because of the pandemic. We cannot bring in the athletes, the international athletes, because of all the quarantines and not all the airports are open and some countries can fly and some countries can't fly. So the World Athletics has made it very easy for you to get involved with the label system this year. If your race has had 2 years of of operation, just 2 years, and it has been measured properly by a course measurer, okay? And the federation, it's important, you must have the federation's approval. You can get a label, and for a marathon, they're only asking for a fee of $2,000, a half and 10K, $1,000. What is the money going to? It's going back into the sport. It's going back into the international drug testing pool, which is very important for our sport moving forward. So if you have the opportunity, I think it's beneficial for you to get a label, and really will help you, I think, in the sponsorship world, and also with your racers. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, great. Elites. The elite program has been a very important part of the label system. And this year, in 2021, it's going to be the first year that it's kind of taken out. But moving to the future, what do elites do? Why should I have an elite program? Well, I think you have to determine, what do you want for your event? Are you a fun run, or do you want to be a real sporting event? If you want to be a real sporting event, you have to have elite athletes. And you really have to develop a program. It's best to hire someone who knows what they're doing and can develop that program for you. And of course, a lot of it depends on budget. If you have a lot of money, it's easier, of course. If you don't have a big budget, then, it's a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. And you got to work with people. You got to figure out what you want. You also have to understand that the elite program can help you with certain things such as marketing. And also, if you say you're trying to get runners from a certain country or a certain area of the world, by bringing a few elites, you can help yourself. You can help develop that marketplace. But, you must start, you must have a budget. You must decide what is right for your race. And you must decide, do I want to be a big time event? Do I want to be a sporting event, or am I just a fun one? And that is all up to you in your race. Next slide, please. If you look at the photo on the right, that's from the majors. That's that medal that if you run all 6 majors. And what makes a major marathon? Basically, it was just 6 races with a great marketing idea, okay? And they did a great job marketing this to the world. But there's no reason why your race can't market to the world too. And I think people spend a lot of money on races, and the one person they don't do is they don't hire a media person. You need to hire someone who understands international media, someone knows how to market it internationally. You use your elite program to market your event. And you take this, and if you do it properly, and you have the right person involved, you're going to get international press, whether it's via the Reuters or AP, the London Times, New York Times, or whatever. If you want international press, social media, you really need to hire someone who can get that information out and get the fact of what you're trying to do. And I think, what you have to understand is any news outlet, any social media, what do they want to write about? They want to write about what happened in your race. You got to have elite athletes to do that. They're not going to write about a fun run. It's just not newsworthy. But you know what? You have a couple big time athletes and something happening, a new course record, or something exciting going on in your race. They're going to write about that. They need something to write about. You need to give them something to write about, and you need to hire someone who can give out that information. Next slide, please. Press conferences. I always say, press conference should be about the professional athlete, the elites. You come in, make it about them. Make your sport a professional sport. It's no different than talking about football with Messi, or talking about Formula One with Lewis Hamilton. Keep it short, keep it about the athletes, and you know what? And be creative about it. Next slide, please. This was Haile Gabriel Selassie, and Alan Ewens, who's speaking later with you. This was his idea. And this is about press. This is him running by the iconic Burj Al Arab in the desert 2 months before the race, because we were getting out the press, and we had a good media person, Alan, getting that press out. On the right, the famous Tower Bridge in London with Mo Farah doing his thing with the mobile. And it's all about finding parts of your city where you can take athletes and show off your city and get that international press and get that out there. And below that is Patrick McCow, Brandenburg Gates, Berlin Marathon when he set the world record. Again, these photos went all over the world. And if you want that type of publicity, you gotta bring in the athletes and you gotta get creative about it. Next slide. Economic impact. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants something special for their city. Well, when I look at it, if you look at, this is the famous Verrazano Bridge in New York. It's estimated that the marathons in New York City and Chicago bring over $400 million to their city. Boston Marathon, which has less people, brings over $200 million. And if you think about that, that's a big, big weekend. That's a lot of hotel rooms, a lot of heads for beds, that's a lot of dinners, that's a lot of merchandise being bought. And these are people coming in from all over the world, and also your domestic population. As we talk, it all starts at home. You know, it really does begin at home. And this is what a marathon can do for your city. I find it pretty amazing that a lot of cities are willing to bring in a pro tennis tour or even Formula One, which gets a lot of media coverage. But how many rooms do they sell? How does that actually go back into the local economy? I think you'd find it very hard to get another event that can do more for your city than a big time road race. If it's done right, if the government's willing to give you the streets and you can get the budget to bring in the right people, it's not going to happen in 1 year. I guarantee you that. In 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a lot of benefit, and you're going to see something really happen, you know, to your city. When you go to New York, you go to Boston, you go to London, when you get off the plane, you know your marathon weekend. And that's what we need to do in Indonesia. We need to make it so when someone comes to Jakarta, or someone goes to Borneo, someone goes to Bali, they get off the plane, they go, wow, there's a big race here this weekend. This is really cool. I want to be involved. So that's basically what they've done. And now I will tell you that in Thailand, over the last few weeks, we've had a couple of races. We've had the Bangsan 42K, 10,000 people. We've had the Chiang Rai half marathon, about 6,000 people. The races are coming back in this part of the world. And I think right now, Southeast Asia is going to lead the way out of the pandemic. And I look for the future right now, and a lot of people looking at Southeast Asia as, you know, how to get the job done. We have a chance to show the world. So I think if we all put our heads together, we all work hard, we can lead the sport out of the pandemic. Any questions?
Thank you, Larry. Give a round of applause to Larry for a great sharing. Larry is very interesting. We still have several minutes. It is nice to have as this your 365 concept, which you know, probably will be in the normal world, whereby we should have, of course, the governments, the police, and all. But right now, how do you see moving forward during this given time that most of the cities, most of the countries are having difficulty in terms of the, you know, getting the permit, or who's giving the authority in each country? Because of what I see, each country has a different kind of a concept of giving the permit for the events, right? And the other thing is also this 365 concept, when we see like probably in our country, like Jakarta or any elsewhere, basically we cannot do like music for the post-event, for the music, for the cheering up the people around the, you know, along the streets, kind of things. So how do you see moving forward, during this pandemic and also the after pandemic?
I think we all have to, first of all, we need to sit down and talk with our government officials and say, okay, what do you need from us? This is what we would like to do. Okay, maybe this year we can't have 10,000 people running. How about if we try 1,500, 2,000? We'll do all the, the social distances. We'll do all these things you ask us. You give us the checklist, we'll check it off, and we'll get it done. And they have to trust you, and you have to understand that they are the ones who are going to give you the green light to go. So I think let's take small steps. Don't look to do something off the charts the first year, 20,000, 25,000. I mean, hey, we all hope that vaccine comes and this thing is over in 6 months. But let's be realistic. Let's take baby steps. And then I think the other part you were talking about is the 365 engagement with the communities, and you were talking about music and some other things. I think what you do is you got to go in each neighborhood, and Jakarta is a very large city, and I know it's very diverse. And I think if you go in each neighborhood and you say, hey guys, what can we do to do something special in this neighborhood to show the people what we're all about, what this neighborhood is about? Maybe it's something artistic, maybe it's something dance, maybe it's something, that we don't, maybe it's showing off craft, maybe it's showing off, traditional costumes, but find something in each neighborhood, get them involved, get the young people engaged. I know you're going to have schools in each neighborhood. Well, you know what? Why not go to the school systems and get the young kids saying, hey, okay, we're going to have a marathon. I want you to draw something or do some artwork, what a marathon is to you. You're going to get all these great, crazy pictures drawn from young kids. And, you do a little exhibition in the city. You pick a piece of artwork for the next marathon. That person's artwork becomes the poster for the next event. So, try to create some competitions within the communities to get them involved. Maybe they're not going to run, but engage them. And I always think there's a great marriage between running and athletics in the art world. And I think this artistic point of view in Indonesia would work very well.
It is interesting to have that kind of situations whereby we can involve the whole family, but of course there's a limitation also for the kids right now because of the pandemic situations. And where I think take the example of Borobudur Marathon, which the organizer is here. Pak Budi is here. The Borobudur Marathon, who is also they did hybrid for the off-air, only for the elites, about 40 people, and also do as well as virtual run. But on the other hand, I mean, like the Jakarta Marathon, I think we also wanted to apply with only 100 selected invitations, but it didn't apply because of the the same regulations being held. So I think each province has different kind of situations. I think each province also has different zone of the COVID right now, but I think this would apply also to the next few months. But we do believe maybe the expectation is the vaccine is the answer for that. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen also in the rest of the world if the vaccine is being found. Is it going to be like going back to normal?
Well, we all hope it's going to go back to normal, but I don't think that's going to happen for a while. And I think if we have a vaccine, it's all going to take a while. And I think that we all need to be cautious. We all need to play with certain rules. And we really need to take the lead from our government officials. And I realize when you look at Indonesia, and you're starting from, Sumatra to Java, all the way out to the Eastern Islands, that's a long, long ways. And in each of those segments, I'm sure have different cases of what are the different percentages with the COVID, and whether it's, like I said, it's Sumatra or it's Bali or it's Borneo. I think you have to look at your particular areas and say, okay, maybe it's okay to do something in Bali. Malawi's okay, but we can't do something in Sumatra yet. So I think this is how, with the help of the government, we have to look at areas that are ready to do something. But start small and simple. Like I said, it starts at home. Take care of the people at home first. Take care of the runners at home. No visions of being international this year, but start laying the groundwork. Start laying the bricks, the foundation for the future. And you do that by doing a good job with your local people. And I think it's a great time, if you're allowed, get the kids involved, get other people involved that normally would not get involved with the sport, and try to get them engaged now. And so as you build up, and we got the green light to do more and more and more, the foundation is there, and you're ready to go, and you're ready to make it happen.
Okay. We still 10 minutes of your time, but maybe this is the last question from me. It is interesting to see your last slide of the economic impact. Put it like this: in Indonesia right now, we are facing kind of the cost per event, cost per runners against the total cost of the investment of the one event of the marathon is huge, whereby versus the registration fee is still low, right? And you take the average of the international, for instance, like $300. For the Indonesian, going overseas, running overseas is nothing. But the same person, if they do run in Indonesia with $100, they're already freaked out. So was it really imply with maybe the infrastructure being developed in a certain cities, or any what do you think of how do you increase how to overcome these kind of situations?
Well, I did notice that the entry fees were very low, much lower than a lot of places. And I think what's happening in Southeast Asia in general, and I see the same thing happening in Thailand and some other places in the region, there are a lot of races, and it's supply and demand, right? And however, you have to build value per event, and there shouldn't be 10 Jakarta marathons. There should be one iconic Jakarta marathon that the government and everybody supports to bring in international people. There should be one big one. You can have other domestic things, but you really have to concentrate on developing one. And I think making your event international and making it special, this is how you can build up, the fees. And also, another way to build up fees is have some limits and some caps. Maybe for Jakarta Marathon, you give out 20,000 members. You try to build it up that way. But yeah, I think for the sport to go on, that I look at the price to entry and go, wow, this is not a lot of money here. I don't know how the business going. And like I said, there's a lot of races. I mean, I've been there, and I was fortunate not to run on car-free day. So I got to run on your car-free day in one of the areas. I couldn't believe how many people were out there. I don't know how, it had to be 20, 30,000 people running that day. It was like solid traffic of people. And I'm going, wow, this is cool. Look at all these people running. And it was exciting for me to see that the running boom was really taking off there. But again, like I said, we need to get more money into sport and do more. And you are right about another thing. You'll pay $300 to go run London, and they'll complain about $20 to run in Jakarta. So, and I know a lot of Indonesians run abroad, a lot of the majors, a lot of the events. So it's exciting to see that happening. But I think if we got to work together, and I also believe the label system can help. You know what? If a race gets a label, maybe that will help increase the fees. Hey, I'm a label race. You got to pay for me.
Yeah, it will be the different story when we have the label for the race, right? And but also there would be the the quite significant investments to do so for the organizer as well. So
Just in closing, I think Jakarta is eligible for a label. You can apply for your label this year. I'm 90% sure that you can get a label.
yeah, that's true. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions from the floor? Just only one question? Okay, Ibu Novi. Just one question? Can we have another mic? Ada mic tambahan? Sorry, yeah. Just one question because we have 5 minutes to go.
Okay. All right. Hi, Larry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Hi, my name is Novia Nawati. Thank you for the explanation. So I'm from one of the community runners here in Indonesia, and I also have an event management. So what really interests me is, you're a Thailand road race consultant, right? So what interests me in Thailand is that, we have with Indonesia, we have, the similar type of weather, we have the similar type of, people, I think, and also the traffic is also similar to that in Thailand, right? So, what interests me is that you have held an event, right, during the pandemic, 2020, with 10,000 and 6,000 participants, right? So, I mean, I think it's salute to you and, to the government of Thailand. I mean, one of my questions was, how did you convince the government in having, that such big race? But I think that was already answered. But I think what I would like to ask is, probably more of the technical. So with that 10,000 or 6,000 participants, how did you start? Did you start in wave? Was that is it just a regular starting, like a regular race during the non-pandemics, or is it starting in wave? Yeah? And also for the post-race, do you keep track of the, post-race in terms of COVID? COVID-based, because you have 10,000 gatherings, and I think that's also one of the probably an issue here. I understand that all the governments in different countries would have different regulations and different situations, but I think with large gatherings and post events where probably we need to update the governments on the results of in terms of COVID. So I think those are my questions. Thank you.
Well, I think what we did, I think what we did well was everything was in waves. We did the typical start. We had markings on the asphalt and you could stand for each wave. So we had spacing. The gun went off, the people went, and we waited another 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes between some waves. We actually gave it a lot of time. So what happened is they really got spread out. And my biggest concern would have been the finish, because the finishes are finishes and everyone's always coming in together. And what we noticed with it being so spread out, even without the pandemic, the waves really helped us because the finish line was not crazy. And it kept people moving. The traditional thing about putting with the metal, everything was in plastic. Keep them moving, keep them moving, keep it moving. So we never let people really gather numbers. So I think it was just basically remember the finish line, keep people moving as much as you can, keep everyone, walking or continue their running or whatever. Get them out of there. And I think everybody, what I've noticed in this part of the world is people were really cool about things. It was like they were just happy to run again. So I think they were like, hey, whatever we need to do, we'll do. And of course, for the number of pickups, we had different. Of course, we had all the temperature tests going in and out of the expo to the starts and all that. So yeah, it was extra work, but I found that the runners themselves were really cool and they were really excited about running again. It was like, hey, whatever it takes, we'll do. And I think, another race is coming up very soon. December 20th, we'll have a half marathon and we'll have 10,000 people in the half marathon. So, and kudos to the Thai government. They've done a very good job with the whole COVID situation here. I mean, if you look at the results recently per day, they've really done a pretty good job about it. So I think we in Thailand have been very fortunate that it has been under control a bit for a while. So knock on wood that way for everyone's sake.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you, Larry. Again, give a round of applause to Larry for the first session. Larry, thank you very much for your time and also sharing with us. I hope you can go back again to Jakarta and having a coffee with us here.
Great coffee, man. Great coffee. Looking forward to
Thank
it.
you, Larry. Because next session is Dr. Jim is awaiting us for right now in the room. So hope to see you again, Larry. All the success and keep stay healthy.
Yes, you too. Everyone stay healthy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Stand by.
And ladies and gentlemen,
Okay. Okay. Huh? Okay. For the next session, the second speaker is Dr. Jim from Dr. Jim Baharal from he's the president and the CEO of the Honolulu Marathon. Good evening, Jim. How are you? Your sound is still mute. Your sound. Can you unmute the speaker?
There we go.
There
we go.
Okay. How are you?
I'm great. How's everybody there?
Really great. We are in the good shape right now. I hope you are also. What
Yeah,
time is
of
there
course,
now?
It's about 10 in the evening.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry to have a delay for you. Good night sleep
Yeah.
later.
My pleasure.
Dr. Jim, you have 25 minutes to share with us, and also the next 10 minutes will be for the Q&A. Floor is yours.
Great. Thank you. Was there a slideshow that we were going to have there?
Slideshow of it, please.
Great. So things are a little different because obviously the Honolulu Marathon, which was going to be on December 13th, it's going to be in 13 days, was canceled. Like most races. I'm amazed hearing Larry talk about having the races in Thailand. That's just amazing. We weren't so fortunate. So I was going to talk about the Honolulu Marathon for a while and then talk about some of our branding, how we took a non-marathon major in a tropical location, so very, very warm weather marathon with a very small local population of 1 million people and turned it into the 4th largest marathon into the United States. So I'm going to go through a little of the history of that. I'm not sure if the videos are going to work. Then I'd like to talk very briefly about COVID. I am a physician. As far as I know, I may be the only president of a large marathon who's also a physician. And then talk a little bit of our virtual race, which I know a lot of people have done. So we can go through this slideshow. Honolulu Marathon Survival of the Fittest. How have we survived for 48 years? With all the things working against us before COVID. Next slide. This is a little about me. I was a former runner, moved to Hawaii in 1970, the 100 marathon for 32 years. So long time being in charge of this race, and I've seen the growth from about 5,000 runners to about 30,000 in the marathon. And then we have 2 other events that happen race weekend, which has actually become important as we move into the virtual event this year. Next slide, please. So we'll talk about the early years. This race has a lot of history. It's one of the earliest marathons. New York Marathon is about the same age, but the New York Marathon wasn't a 5-borough marathon when it started. It was just run around Central Park. So Hanu Marathon is a very, very old event. So it has a lot of tradition. That can be good. That can also take you down. So we've had to learn to reinvent ourselves constantly, find new ways of reaching runners, keeping the event fresh and new, while at the same time understanding our tradition and trying to embrace that. So next slide, please. This is the 1970s. This is really ancient history. The race was started by Mayor Frank Fosse, who had grown up in Boston, and he wanted to have a Boston Marathon in the Pacific. And that's what he did. The women's winner, interestingly, in the first race was 14 years old. And to this day, I'm not sure what goes on so much in Indonesia, but we still allow children to run the marathon. Our age limit for the marathon is 7 years old. And we get a couple hundred runners who are under the age of 10 years old. So I'd be happy to talk about that too at some point. Most of them are from Japan, but we do allow children to run the marathon. And that has caused some controversy for us, as many people feel that children shouldn't run marathons. So I'm happy to talk about that as both a race director and a physician. So long history of the marathon. And this is the real amateur era, the 70s. And the Honolulu Marathon would get some pretty good runners from Nike in those days. There was no money in the sport. So next slide, please. Again, the 1970s, we had a very interesting structure. It's a nonprofit, which most of the early marathons in the United States were nonprofits. The later marathons, like the Rock and Roll Marathons, Ironman, all those races are for profit. We were a nonprofit, and there were 42 people on the board, which caused a lot of problems. It made it very difficult to get anything done. I don't know how many of you have races where everything is voted on. We had gotten to the point where we could take 3 weeks to vote on what color the finisher shirt would be. So next slide, please. As we moved into the 1980s, the running world kind of saw what was going on with the Boston Marathon. Professional running came into the sport, and we managed to get a sponsor from Japan Airlines. I became president about that time, and we embraced the new era of the sport with prize money and more professionalism. I think the prize money, when we look back on it, wasn't as important as the idea that you needed money to put on these races, and that was going to require sponsorship. So what was initially, sponsorship was initially to pay runners, completely shifted to whereas we all know it costs an incredible amount of money to put on these races. So without the sponsors, whether you have professional athletes or not, you certainly have to have sponsors. And then as we got Japan Airlines as a sponsor, in 1989, we had 11,000 runners in the field. And by 1992, we had over 30,000. So we had an explosive growth between 1989 and 1992, which was driven primarily in Japan and to a great extent by Japan Airlines. Next slide, please. I don't know, if you can click on that video, it might play. I heard there's some trouble with the video. Does anything happen if you click on that? I think we're having some trouble with the video. So the 1980s is when we got the sponsorship, and we were actually the first marathon to have a Kenyan champion. It was a little bit lucky, actually. in that we had met a gentleman named Ibrahim Hussein, who is now known as the legend in Kenya. He had run at the University of New Mexico, and he came to Hawaii he had won a trip here, and he ended up breaking our course record in 1985 and 1986. He became the first African to win the New York Marathon in 1987, the first African to win the Boston Marathon. He won that 3 times and really put us on the map as far as having a top race for elite athletes. And I know that's a controversial area. For us, when I talk about the legacy and the tradition of the marathon, I mentioned that we did get Nike runners in the 70s. We think it's important for our event to continue to try to have fast runners because we think it's an athletic event. And we know we have 30,000 people and most of the people are not running fast. In fact, many of them are walking. But we still think that by having top runners out there, people, and in our course, because there's an out and back portion, that people see the top runners and it's very exciting for them. In fact, as we come down Diamond Head in our 26th mile, runners are going out right next to us at their 8th mile. So people that have run 8 miles are seeing somebody who's run 25 miles and they get very excited, they take pictures, it's quite a moment. So we think it's not for everybody because it does cost money, but we think for our event and our history and our legacy, having champions is important. In fact, we've broken our course record 3 times in the last 4 years, so our times are getting faster and faster as we grow and grow. So in fact, in 2017, we had the fastest time in the United States. Lawrence Chirono, who has won the Boston Marathon the last 2 years and the Chicago Marathon, he broke our course record and won the race. So we had and that was the fastest time in the United States, faster than Boston, New York, and Chicago. And we also had the slowest time in the United States. Our last finisher finished in 17 hours and 50 minutes because we don't close the finish line. We time the last finisher. So our front runner ran 2:08 and our last runner ran 17 hours and 50 minutes. Fastest and slowest in the United States. We like that. That's a good thing. Next slide, please. Again, I'm talking about the Kenyan runners, Ibrahim Hussein. This picture down below that's Lawrence Chirono, and next to him is Bridget Koske, who at the time she won our race for the first time in 2016, and then in 2017 was basically unknown. Of course, she's not unknown anymore. She's a world record holder in the marathon, won the London Marathon twice and Chicago Marathon, and is arguably the greatest female distance runner in history. So we're very proud that Bridget ran our race as an unknown, broke our course record by 5 minutes, and the kind of thing that's great for an event like us to have. And I'd be happy to talk about our prize money and what we pay and what that involves as well. Next slide, please. Then we move into 1990s, huge growth of the Hanu Marathon, mainly coming out of Japan. One of the things driving the marathon then is it was very hard for a Japanese runner to run a marathon in Japan, almost impossible. The large races, there were no large races. The marathons were for elite only, like Fukuoka. So a large race then might have 200 runners. These were all top runners. I think based partially on our success and the acknowledgement by many cities, including Tokyo, that marathons could have a huge economic impact for cities. The Tokyo Marathon started, I think, about 15, 16 years ago. Of course, that's been a huge success. And that success of the Tokyo Marathon led to many other cities, most cities in Japan, also having marathons. And it made it a little more difficult for the Hanu Marathon to attract Japanese runners because it cost money to fly to Honolulu and they would have a chance to run a marathon in Japan. So that was a challenge for us that forced us to reinvent ourselves and continue to find ways to continue to be successful. Next slide, please. So as we moved into the 2000s, We call this a decade of change. As we are a very mature event, our growth seemed to be stalled because of all the Japanese citizen marathons that made it easier for a Japanese person to have that bucket list and say that they finished a marathon. So we began to search for growth outside of Japan, while at the same time try to maintain our Japanese market. One thing that we were very fortunate in is that we were one of the first events to embrace social media and digital completely. We haven't taken paper entries in over 20 years. We don't really have a budget for print and traditional marketing, so we embraced a very aggressive and robust social media strategy. We send out several million emails a year. We have over 100,000 followers on Facebook. We learned that social media drives the event. It creates brand ambassadors. So we have learned to deal with social media. We use differential pricing strategies. We're very specific about our branding and our logos. We try to create consistent themes across our different events. And we added many events to our race weekend. So next slide, please. That's an aerial shot of, that's Diamond Head from above. And so the people going out are at about, that's at about the 9-mile mark. And the people coming back are at about the 24-mile mark. So just a little idea that we're in Hawaii. It's very beautiful. And it's also, it can be very warm, which creates some issues for putting on a marathon. But we're always aware at the end of the day that what we're really selling with the Honolulu Marathon, besides the race, is we're really selling Hawaii. So we're very careful that our branding, our names, our marketing always emphasizes the fact that we're in Hawaii, because that's the one thing we have that nobody else has. Plenty of people have marathons, plenty of people have nice shirts and medals. Plenty of races have, lots of great things, but nobody else has Hawaii. So we make sure that we always keep Hawaii front and center in everything we do. Next slide, please. Yeah, we talked about social media. We target very specific areas. We can't market across the whole world. So we do target the West Coast of the United States. We're very successful at that marketing. One of our key things is there's no time limit. This is a huge thing for the Honolulu Marathon. So as I say, we stay out there for the last finisher, which is usually around 16 hours. It can be 18 hours. We time them, we give them a shirt and a medal at the finish, and they're an official finisher. We've been very fortunate that the city and county of Honolulu have allowed us to continue this no time limit strategy. Of course, not everybody likes it because the roads can get tied up, and to some people it seems ridiculous that someone could take 18 hours to finish a marathon. We don't think so. In fact, some of our greatest stories are from those last finishers. We call them the final finisher. And usually these people have overcome a significant handicap. So it's actually pretty moving and interesting. But that no time limit is a key thing for us. And I think very difficult for other events to compete against, because most cities will not allow the roads to be closed for 15 or 18 hours. So we think that's something that we have that gives us a competitive advantage. What's called a USP, a unique selling proposition. If we look at our unique selling proposition, I think we have two things. We have Hawaii and we have no time limit. Those would be the two main things. We also use social media, Instagram in particular. We understand that the finishers want to be on social media. It's about them. And so we make sure that our medal and our shirts are very visual, that they look good in photographs. And so after the marathon, we'll have probably 30,000 photos from other people on Instagram. So the social media is very viral, and you create an online community that people want to be a part of, and it helps drive your growth. And you don't really have to spend a lot of money. You really get a lot of bang for your buck that way. Next slide, please. So we learned the Hanoi Marathon has always had a finisher shirt, which was probably a mistake because it's very difficult to distribute a shirt after the race. Most races have traditionally done that at their expo. They give out the shirt, but because of our tradition, we've stayed with it. But we also learned from social media a few years ago that people thought our food was bad. We give them like a bagel and an apple and a cookie, and we thought that was pretty good. But people on social media start saying your food is terrible. And instead of getting mad, which we did for a few minutes, we kind of realized they were right. So we came up with this idea. It's called a malasada, which is a Portuguese donut, as it were, very popular in Hawaii. And we actually cook them at the finish line. We cook 40,000 malasadas at the finish line. It's a big job, costs a lot of money. And people get a fresh malasada after the race, and they really look forward to that. And actually, they can take as many as they want, actually. So it's become quite a tradition, and so we're very happy. Again, you're trying to find ways that make your event unique. And we think freshly baked pastries that are traditional in Hawaii is something that people talk about and look forward to. Okay, now next slide. So this is our growth in non-Japanese participants, which would surprise people who even pay any attention to the Hanoi Marathon. As our Japan participation leveled off, our non-Japanese participation doubled. And so that's been very important to us to continue the size of the race, which we think is important. Although the revenue is not as great because we use differential entries. The Japanese actually pay more. It's important that there's a lot of people out there because it creates, well, not with COVID, of course, but before COVID, it created a festival atmosphere and made it a lot of fun. So we're still experiencing pretty explosive growth. And this year would have been the biggest one ever. So obviously everybody's disappointed. Next slide, please. Another thing we decided to do was develop new events. We realized we couldn't live or die with the marathon. We're not the Boston Marathon. We're not the New York Marathon. We're not, of course, all those marathons have other events too, but we knew we needed to have other events. So we developed some new events. Next slide, please. Selfies, I was talking about that. This is probably a video that we can't show you. Next slide, please. The first thing we did was develop a half marathon. We thought about putting it inside the marathon, but we didn't, for the main reason being that the marathon was so full that we would have just cannibalized ourselves. The advantage of putting a marathon inside a half marathon is it doesn't cost you any more money. So the races that do that, you basically make a lot of money by adding a half marathon. The problem is the half marathon ends up squeezing out the marathon and you're not left with much of a marathon. But the problem to put on a separate event is it costs a lot of money. So we started the Hapalua, which means one half in Hawaiian. You can see the starts in Waikiki. It's very beautiful. Again, we gave it a Hawaiian name because we remembered that we're in Hawaii. And so everything we do now tends to have a Hawaiian theme to it. So we have, this year we would have had about 11,000 participants, but the race was canceled in April. Again, no time limit. That's part of what we do. Next slide, please. King's Runner 10K, a local event. We started that 3 years ago, 5,000 people, year 2. Again, consistent logos. They're all a little different, but they're all kind of the same. We use the King's Runner. So it's a consistent theme across all our platforms. Next slide, please. And then we added a mile race. For the last 3 years, we get about 4,000 people in that. Yes, people actually pay to run a mile. And that's been a fun event. Next slide, please. Start to Park 10K. Starts with our marathon. It's fortunate that the first 10K of our marathon ends basically at our finish line. So people can start the marathon with everybody, see the fireworks, be part of a large marathon, which is very exciting, but then stop after 6.2 miles. And so we would add about 8,000 people in that this year. So our combined marathon events on race weekend is approaching 40,000 until they were all canceled this year. I see I'm running out of time. So next slide, please. There's the Mary Mile. See, everything is kind of the same and kind of different. The logo and the branding, it's similar but different, which is important to create a distinctive identity for each event, but still using the imagery of the Honolulu Marathon. And you can see Diamond Head in the background there. The next slide, please. So this is our all our logos. We created a female King's Runner. You can tell because she got a flower in her hair. We have all these different logos. And next slide, please. Well, the future, that's a good question. I don't know if you can see the logo behind me. It says Honolulu Marathon Virtual Beach Fest. So even for the virtual events that we created this year, we gave it its own logo and its own name. So it's not really called the Honolulu Marathon Virtual Marathon, or even though it's called the Virtual Beach Fest. And because we have no time limit for the regular marathon, we kind of followed the same pattern for the virtual race, in which we allow people to complete the marathon over multiple days. So we have a single day marathon and a multiple day marathon. We also have the mile and the 10K. And we also have the package where you can do all three called the Big Kahuna. And that way you get 3 shirts and 3 medals. And we have over 11,000 entries in our virtual races, which begins tomorrow. You can begin to turn in your time tomorrow. We have over 11,000 people. We think we're going to have between 15 and 20,000 people when we're done. And this is generating tremendous revenue. And this virtual beach fest idea is consistent to what we do with our branding. And it's familiar, but each event has its own brand, its own identity. So we're making the best of the virtual event. Of course, this is not something that all of us can do every year. We can't put on a virtual event every year. At some point, we got to be able to get back on the roads, and hopefully with the vaccine or with some change in COVID, we can all get back to putting our events the way we like to do them and the way the runners really want to do them. But for now, we've tried to rebrand ourselves, stay creative, and have created this enormously popular virtual event. So I think with that, I think my time's about up, and I'm happy to answer any questions and talk about anything that we do out here in Hawaii.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jim. Please give a round of applause to Dr. Jim. Very interesting legacy of the event of the Honolulu Marathon. And we still have a few minutes for this. Dr. Jim, I'm aware that the Japanese runners every year would be around 18,000. Is it right?
Yes, yes.
Wow. So is Japanese runners versus non-Japanese is 50-50. I think it's a great element for that. And to have this marathon as a bucket list in a marathon. So, okay, talking about the current situation, so who is actually, I know that the event is not happening for this year. Interesting to see that who is the authority in Hawaii? Is it the same as across United States for the current situation?
It's primarily the city and county of Honolulu. They're the ones that give the road permits. So it's pretty much the mayor. But in this situation, the state is also involved because the state has travel restrictions. So in this situation, the governor probably is involved too. We had discussions with both the governor and the mayor. We had many discussions actually, but with the tiered system that they're using and the limiting of public gatherings, we never actually got to a point where I would actually ask anybody, can we put this event on? It's just, you have to be able to read the handwriting on the wall. It just wasn't going to happen. And there's definitely community concern. People are very afraid. And in an environment in which they're closing restaurants and families can't get together, we were not in a position to say, hey, Mayor, we want to put this marathon on. So it's historically the mayor.
Okay, great. I think same across countries as well, whereby the mayor, but here in Indonesia we have also the police, because the police is not under the mayor or is not under the governor, but it is under the own state police. So
That's a good, to bring, now that you mention it, our discussions with the government, because we were planning an actual race, much like Larry was talking about with wave starts and self-serve aid stations, the medals, no placing of medals. We had quite a great plan actually. And so we were moving forward until late October, and it actually came from the police first. The police expressed concerns to the mayor. So in this situation, you're actually right. Even though the mayor in Honolulu is in charge of the police were the ones that first said, "Hey, wait a minute, we don't think you can do this." So.
Yeah, I think well, the great things of the Honolulu, because of the event is towards the end of the year, so I think the weather is very warm, and also it's nice weather. But the situation is unlike the same. It's like the same as the Bali probably, but in Bali we held in the summertime, so I think it's quite a challenge also to have the marathon in the summertime. Do you have that also in the country?
We start the race at 5 in the morning, so it's dark, and that's great. And we get the fireworks. You get a whole. It looks like a movie set out there. It's dark, fireworks going off. It's really pretty cool. It's not that hot when it starts, so the elite athletes can go pretty fast because they run for 2 hours when it's still pretty dark. So our course record was broken last year, 2:07:59. Titus Akiru from Kenya. So no one ever thought somebody could run 2:07 in Honolulu. So I think that we've kind of struck that balance between a people's race and just for fun and people walking, but also still trying to have some performance at the front. And I think the fact that we started in darkness helps a lot.
Interesting. I can imagine, the situations during the darkness with all the fireworks and all that. Okay, Floor, we still have 4 minutes before we have the next speaker. Do you have any questions or? Okay. Okay. Oh, Rina is gonna ask you.
Good.
Good.
Hello, Dr. Jim.
Hello.
Hi. I supposed to run your marathon next week.
Oh boy.
Too bad. We just see each other by virtual now. So anyway, I have a very interesting question for you, since I know that the biggest Japan Airlines is one of your committed sponsors on your event. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did it happen? Because because of Honolulu is one of the favorite race for the Japanese, or because we all like to run in Japan because of the weather. It's cold and even sometimes it's nasty. But it's for us from the tropical country, it's very interesting. So because we always aim for the personal best.
Right. That's a really good question, and it really goes to the heart of the Honolulu Marathon and how we market and promote the event. Japan Airlines got involved in around 1987. The interesting thing about Honolulu, because it was warm, it was understood that you can't run a personal best in Honolulu. That's probably not going to happen. So you got this reputation of just a fun event at the end of the year, no time limit, and it's not a place to run your best time. So we attracted all these people who weren't worried about their time, and in many cases were not even runners. They just wanted to be able to finish a marathon, but they didn't want to get pulled off a course somewhere after 7 hours to say, sorry, you're done. So fortunately for us, the sport shifted Because back in the 80s, everybody, and when I was running, I mean, I wanted to have a fast time. But the sport shifted to more participation and recreation, and not worried about your time, more worried about taking a selfie with your medal. So the reality is our kind of laid back attitude, our no time limit, don't worry about how fast you go. If you want to go fast, you can do that too. We got a 207 guy here. But the sport moved more toward recreation and less toward serious competition. And that worked incredibly well for us. And it really explains not only our growth, but I think why we continue to stay strong. That's not what we're about. We understand that ideal weather conditions for marathon are more like, that's why all the majors are run in the spring and fall. You're trying to get ideal weather conditions. We're never going to have that, but it actually worked to our benefit.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jim.
Thank you. Sorry we
Thank you,
couldn't
Dr.
see you.
Jim. Again, thank you very much for your sharing. Give a big hand of applause to Dr. Jim. Thank you for your time. Keep healthy. Keep healthy.
Thank you.
Hope to see you in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Love to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okay. Thank you very much. Mana po Tanaka-san? Tanaka-san, welcome. Hi. Konnichiwa,
Hello.
Tanaka-san.
Konnichiwa.
How are you? Apa kabar?
Hi. Fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. We are in the good shape here. I hope
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. It's been a very long time that we haven't seen each other. I think almost a year, right?
Yeah.
So hope to have you again in Jakarta.
Yeah.
To have the same experience, maybe the different experience as well for the next year. Yeah. Tanaka-san is the sports director of Tokyo Marathon. The floor is yours, Dr. Tanaka-san.
Yeah. Now I just finished my job. Now I'm a pensioner now, and I joined Japanese Federation 1991, and year of 2005. Tokyo Metropolitan Government asked me about establishing the new citizens big race in Tokyo. Until then, our Japanese Federation didn't have the huge marathon. We had the only elite marathon, about maybe less than 200 people. So mostly we had 3 men's big race and also 3 women's big one. And 2005, we established, starting group to establish the Tokyo Marathon in 2007. And at that time, police department, it's very difficult to, issue the, give us the permission. Because if Boston, New York, Berlin, Chicago, or London, such as world major marathon, it takes about more than 6 to 7 hours. It means, Tokyo's traffic will be, just, stopped. So, police department asked us to close the Tokyo Women's Marathon and also other races such as Tokyo half marathon. And also Tokyo men's marathon. So 3 races total limitation time is about 7 hours. So if we put together 3 races, so then police department accepted. So that's why we could start the over 30,000 runners to start together. Now we are having close to the 40,000, but this year we had only elite race, about less than 200 runners, because due to the COVID-19, and we joined World Marathon Majors in 2013, and we established the first race was in 2007. Means we are very youngest race in World Marathon Majors, because Boston has over 124 or 5 times, and New York also established in 1970, or almost other races are established over now 40 times they held, but we joined 2013. At that time, we had only 6 consecutive year we had. So we had the youngest race, but I believe Asian, biggest race in Asia now. Many people apply to run, but entry is not the first serve, first come. We are Rotary, so Rotary is about 10 times, so over 10 times. So it's difficult to run. Even myself, I've never run Tokyo, but I ran other World Marathon Majors, 5 of them. So I, because it's very difficult to, get the, ticket, entry. Anyway, I hope I can run Tokyo soon, I hope. And right now, corona situation in Japan is very, worse. We had now we have a 3rd wave now. First one was middle of April, and the second one was middle of August, and the 3rd one is November, middle of November. And we do not have not many as American, but I think Japan is now we have 149 thousand people infected, and Tokyo almost over 40,000 people are infected, and so recently we do not have any races in Japan. I mean, probably we will have only virtual races or maybe small race, not big ones such as nationwide race in Japan now. And I think Tokyo Marathon supposed to have every February or March, but next year we are going to have Tokyo will have the on middle of October 17th. So next year's autumn, I think Boston, New York, Berlin, Chicago, London, Tokyo, end of September till early November. Every week we have the World Marathon majors races. So I think it is very difficult to invite the elite athlete for the one of races. And so right now we have not big races in Japan, but people, maybe number of runner less than 200 people gather, and also we keep the social distance, distance. So every 2 or 3 seconds, each runner should start, every other 2 or 3 seconds. So it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to start the 200 people, and but I think other races, not a small one, but the virtual race is very common right now in Japan. So virtual race, maybe some type of virtual race, same time or distance, or sometime relay was so people, organizer plans many way to have virtual races. I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Tanaka-san. Give round of applause.
Oh,
to
sorry.
Tanaka-san.
Okay.
Yeah. Just hang on there because a few questions coming up.
Okay.
Okay. It is very interesting because of, as you know, we are all here gathering. Most of us are the event owners of the marathon and also the mass race, as well as also there's a government representative, and also there's a police from the police office, how to understand of how that Tokyo, since the first time Tokyo held the race in the 2007, and then the next 7 years, Tokyo got the World Marathon Majors of 6 marathon majors in 7 years. I think it's very huge huge achievement for the Tokyo and also for Japan. So Tokyo Marathon also has been to me, it's like the most effective and efficient management of the race. So that's why it's one of the bucket lists in the marathon. Okay, Tanaka-san.
Yes.
As you said that you move the Tokyo Marathon, I mean, since the last 2014 when you first had the World Marathon Major, I've never absent to come to Tokyo for the race. Only this year we couldn't do it. And then you said that the 2020 you shifted and moved it to which usually is end of the March, but you move it to the October 17, right up after the Tokyo Olympics, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So, what is the considerations for the Tokyo development, Tokyo Metropolitan Development, to decide from the end of the March, which is regularly you had, and then move to the October 17, whereby most of the WMM will have that race in the second semester?
Well, I think, government think, next spring, maybe it's Corona will be not solved. So that's why, postponed until, October. I think it means after Olympics. Before the Olympics game, it is very difficult to, have the race. That's why, I think.
Okay, so what you're saying is that to go or not to go for the event in Japan, especially in the Tokyo, it is based on the flagship of the Tokyo Olympic first, and then the rest of the event will be held. Is that right? So,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Most probably also because of the vaccine distributions that would take at least maybe 6 months or gradually after the year, then probably we will be in the better situations for the COVID as well. Yeah. Okay. Tanaka-san,
yeah.
What I heard is in Japan, you've run several events during the COVID-19 for the last 9 months. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that only, maybe what I heard is also only one single case of the virus found in the one particular event. I think it's a very good achievement. But how do you manage to do it? I mean, in Japan, how do you get that event running while in this current situation?
Yeah, I think most of the runner mask and washing the hands, and also keep the social distance. So those three things, every day, TV or newspaper saying mention about those three things, like washing the hands with soap, and at least 30 seconds, and wearing the mask, even having eating. When we eat mask, eat something, put off the mask and hang on the one side of the ear, and after eat, mask again, and
Just
when
like what I'm doing
you
now.
eat something, just put it off. Yeah.
Okay.
So government suggests that. Yeah.
I think it's very. I think it's different culture from the Japanese, whereby long before COVID, Japanese people are used to wear the mask everywhere, right? In
Yes.
MRT and over the streets, you can find that easily that the Japanese are very habit to have that wear mask. And
Yeah.
I think the same regulations that we had also in Indonesia right now, we have that protocol, the health protocol, and it is also being sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism to help that protocol. And we try also to convince the authority, both of the governor or the police. But I think it's not as easy to Japan to have that kind of event to be held in the current situation. Do you have any advice on that?
Well, I don't know. Every day TV or newspaper says, many things. But, recently, Japan, the number of the, infected people are very, increased. And today we have, today means maybe 2 or 3 days ago, examination, but over about 2,100 people infected in Japan, and Tokyo, 372 people infected. So, 3-4 days ago in Tokyo, we have over 500 people infected, and governor of Tokyo, Yuriko Koike, she worry about next increasing. So we have to keep quiet, and maybe join a virtual race, or maybe Thailand, maybe Larry said they have over 6,000 people or 10,000 people, they had the races. So maybe we should go to Thailand, but I think it's difficult because we have to self-contain for 2 weeks or something like that, right? So this is another problem.
We still cannot go to overseas.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I think it's interesting that you have the same concept, and maybe other places as well, like Honolulu, like Thailand, whereby right now the focus really on the national race, which is only for the local people, and then
I think so.
And then the combined with the virtual race. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Okay. And do you think after the COVID, or maybe after the vaccine being distributed, do you think we're going back to normal afterwards? I don't know, maybe 1 year from now, or?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, exactly. But I hope,
Yeah,
vaccine.
we do hope so.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, to have the virtual 100%, or maybe the combined virtual, it is not really profitable, but at least to prolong our life towards the end of the year, right? So okay, I want to give to the floor whether there's a questions for Tanaka-san. Ada yang mau tanya? Gak apa-apa, bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia, nanti saya bisa langsung inikan. Is there any questions from the floor? And here we have, there's a Borobudur Marathon, Bali Marathon, Ultra Lake Toba Marathon, then the rest of the marathon, Bogor Marathon is also here. So I think we all have the, Jogja Marathon is here. I think it's on the Zoom as well. So all the big guys are here to understand and also to share the updates from around the globe. Ada yang mau tanya? Is there any questions? Okay. Okay, my next questions will be like, for the next 2021, your next Tokyo Marathon, or maybe Nagoya Marathon, whatsoever, do you see the same kind of amount? Because of what I see also, what I understand that you've projected the 2021, the Tokyo Marathon total will be held by the 38,000 runners. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure, but maybe I think full marathon, because the Tokyo Marathon has a 5K, 10K, and also full marathon. So maybe close to 30, over 35K people
Wow,
will
that's a
run a
massive.
full marathon.
That's a massive
Yeah.
one. Because maybe you're being convinced by the Tokyo Olympics, right? So
Mhm.
that's why you can help.
Yes.
You can get the normal Tokyo Marathon for the next year after the Olympics.
Yeah, I
right?
hope so. But Tokyo Marathon course and Tokyo Olympic course, Tokyo Olympic, marathon will be held in Sapporo, northern, Hokkaido.
Yep.
North Island of the Hokkaido. Yeah.
Because it's in May. In May and June is quite kind of summer that you have. So
Yeah.
that's why you moved to the Sapporo, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Understand. Mau nanya? Huh? Okay. So that's about it. Maybe anything else to share, Tanaka-san? We still have.
Well,
5
maybe,
minutes.
I want to visit your country and have a beer. Kampai.
I will be kampai.
All right.
I do have a coffee here.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, ada satu. Okay. Rina would like to ask a question to you.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Moment, please.
Okay.
Hello, Tanaka-san.
Yes.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Tanaka-san, so if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, that the next year Tokyo Marathon will be held in September or October?
No, October.
October.
October 17th.
Yeah, so I learned also that some other major marathons also will be held in October as well.
Yes.
Correct. So how you divide or how you make the proportion of the elite runners? Because the layer of the first elite runners cannot perform in other world marathon majors because they're going to perform in Olympic as well. So
That's right.
yeah. So the question is, one of the mandatory list for the world marathon major is the elite runners level 1, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Like the top of elite runners.
Yeah, top. I think. Yeah.
So how you will manage the elite runners in those periods?
I don't know. I think all organizers of the World Marathon Majors race director will accept only one race, among the 6 races. Do not accept, 2 races during the, October.
Oh, okay. By the way, you cannot attend the Tokyo Marathon next year because you should come to Jakarta, Tanaka-san. Thank you, Tanaka-san.
All
Stay
right.
safe, yeah?
Okay. Right.
I hope you're not going to have another nightmare to come to Jakarta.
Okay.
Thank you, Tanaka-san.
All right.
Give Tanaka-san a big round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hope to have you are in a good shape, yeah, Tanaka-san.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Lee Wang on the screen right now. Sorry, Miss Lee Wang. Okay, on the screen right now. How are you? Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Are you in good shape right now?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Li Wang is the Associate Professor of Sports Department of China Foreign Affairs. And she would share with us, she's going to share with us, this is going to be the last speaker for the first session. And for the next 25 minutes, she would share with us, the experience of I know that the Shanghai Marathon is happening, and the Beijing also, I think it's great. It is interesting that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to have the Department of Sports. It is very interesting because like in our country, the only Minister of Sports to have that kind of sports. But in your country is the Foreign Minister to have the sports under the department. Okay,
Yeah.
the floor is yours now. Please.
Okay. And because of the Beijing Marathon was canceled, and so today I will talk more about Shanghai Marathon and Guangzhou Marathon this year. And we can use the PPT there. The presentation, yeah. Yeah, about 2 days ago, November 29th, about 9,000 runners started the 2020 Shanghai Marathon. And due to the impact of the epidemic, this year's race has been scaled back with more than 120,000 entries, but at last only 9,000 winners. That means 9,000 people just attend the race. And elite international players have not been invited. Okay, please, next one. Yes, elite international players have not been invited, and the participants, just the Chinese ones, and some Chinese elite athletes, the famous one like Li Zhixuan and Jiao Wenjing and Wang Zhuang, these elite Chinese athletes, and they sorry. It's okay now?
Hello? Yes,
Hello?
we can see it.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
share. Do you have a problem with your sharing or?
Yes, okay now, yeah.
Okay, it's okay now.
Sorry. Okay. And runners from the middle and the high-risk areas are not accepted. At the start and the finishing of the race, and along the track, volunteers were divided into teams to guide the race. And in addition, a number of new volunteer positions has added to the race this year and required by the epidemic, such as a team of volunteers who remind the runners to keep a social distance before and after the race. And all of them just wear the masks. And this year, they're only the full marathon. That means no 10K, no mini jogging, just a full race. We can. Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Last year the total participants of the Shanghai Marathon was 38,000, and the full marathon was 25,000, and a 10K 6,000. Mini jogging is 7,000. But this year only 9,000 participants. And the prevention and control of the COVID-19 is the top priority of the race. The runners from mid and high risk area are not accepted. These areas are just according to the government. Okay, go on. And thank you. And we can find that along the course and much more many volunteers there, and along the course there are a lot of volunteers just to remind the runners to keep a social distance, even before the race. When they went into the starting area. Okay, go on. And this year, they have started with 3 shots. Before, no one race has 3 shots. Just the races in China only have 1 shot, just 1 gun. But Shanghai just make unprecedented thing, and this is a good organized. And let's see the result of the men's marathon in Shanghai. This year, the champions 2 hours and is a champion. And last year, I remember the time was 2 hours and 2:08:10. So obviously this year is a little bit slower. Last year, the first the champions come from Kenya, the elite group. And 2:08, I think 2:08. This year, the first one just 2:12, but it's good because last year the first Chinese is 2:14 or 2:14, yeah. And let's look at the women's result. The women's result, please. Thank you. This result. Oh, yeah. The first one is 2:26:39. This is faster than last year. Last year, the women champions 2:32. The same person, the same girl named Li Zhixuan. She also champion this year and faster than last year, 2:26. This is a good result. And all of this under 3. 20 women here. All this, the first 1, 2, 3. This 3 are from the Chinese elite team. And let's come to Guangzhou Marathon. Yeah, Guangzhou Marathon will be held on December 13th, and I think after more than 10 days. And now is just in preparation. And this year, a lot of just more than 15,000 people online make application online, but I think at last just to choose like try to do that is 20,000. Adjust the scope of the participants affected by the pandemic. This year, the race only accept from the low-risk areas of the mainland China, and don't accept from the overseas, including Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. And the domestic medium and high-risk areas players can compete, and high-risk and players count. The organized community will just add the COVID-19 prevention tips through the official website and registration instructions and text message and other forms to remind players with fever and other uncomfortable stations, and this from middle and high risk areas. People can't take part in that. And and the second one, just increase the personal information declaration. The runners are required to truthfully report their physical health status, including the body temperature, and whether they have lived or traveled to a medium risk or high risk area within 14 days. Because we have we can find that from the WeChat, just the app. Then we can make the data and find if whether you go to the medium or high risk area or not. So we can get the data. So must be truthfully reports that. And we all will screen the data of of that regularly. And if the contestants travel to the high risk or medium risk area 40 days before the start of the competition, and the organizing committee will urge them to withdraw in time. And in addition, if participants' COVID-19 risk level increases from low risk to a medium to high risk between the registration date and the competition date, the organized community will disqualify him from the competition and refund the fee or reserve his or her place for the next year. And we just keep it and encourage them to run. But if something not good happen, we have to we can refund the fee and just keep the name now for the next year. And the runners accept that. It's no problem. And the submit the nucleic acid test certificate. The contestants need to make a personal declaration again when they download the claim form. There's a form, and they need to download it and fill in that. And when they arrive at the expo to collect the materials and the pipe, that day they should submit the valid paper certificate of negative nucleic acid test for COVID-19 virus from December 7th, and therefore, and the submit of the paper version of health and safety responsibility commitment signed by them. They should download from the official website before the competition. And the organized committee will not issue any materials if no certificate or incomplete materials can be submitted. So it is very strict, and just in order to avoid any of the risk. From the convenience of the nucleic acid testing, the organized committee will publish the list of hospitals recommend for nucleic acid testing. And this testing now is, many hospitals can do that. We just choose one, it's close there, and the big ones. We just find the bigger ones, and they can just to check it just in not in groups, just individuals like that can last some more days like that. And for the terms of the medical care, a total of 26 medical aid points have been set up, and with more than 200 medical staff and 20 ambulances on the way to take charge of the on-site transport. Nearly 1,000 medical staff and first aid volunteers have participated in the event. And in addition to the medical facilities now covering all corners of the event, 200 meters before the finishing line, with one medical volunteer for every 50 meters. Volunteers will hold up health warning boards to remind athletes to pay attention to their own protection, and conduct media or medical observation for each passing athlete, so as to deal with relevant medical conditions in timely manner. We just can do the emergency aid, and the first aid should be there. And organizing community of the race has also set up a special emergency mechanism. If the runners are found to have abnormal health codes and abnormal body temperature or confirmed patients during the race will initiate a series of countermeasures. For example, the relevant personnel shall be quarantined and observed in a timely manner, and their participation or work qualification shall be cancelled. When there's a risk of spreading, the circuit breaker will be changed. The red flag will be waved and the race will be stopped. Volunteers and staff will be responsible for evacuating the runners. This one we just give a good just like a preparation, and if something really happen, and if we have to stop that, then just stop. Nobody knows what will happen, and we just to find more ways to avoid it. Yeah. And I think after Guangzhou Marathon, there's still, I think at the end of this year, Shenzhen Marathon last year is in December, and this year just not confirmed. And then to next year, the Xiamen is in January, but still not sure.
Okay, Jane.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jane. Jane Li Wang from China. And that will be the last slides that we have from you. Okay, now it's a question Q&A. Before I give it to the floor, it is interesting to see that you had that couple of days ago. Great job, appreciate it. And it is a big job that you have that kind of the system and also the protocol against this COVID-19. And we want to know how, probably like this, your zone will be like divided into low. Hi, hi Jen. Your camera is a bit awkward. Can you move it a bit straight, because it's the other way around.
Better not move. If you really have something very important need to move there, you must have a quarantine for at least 14 days.
No, I mean, sorry. I'm asking about your camera right now. So I have to ask you like this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, like this, yeah.
So there you go. Thank you, Jane. Okay, let me repeat my questions again. In your country, you have a low, medium, and a high zone.
Yeah.
And here in our country, we have the green, yellow, red, and black.
Yeah.
I think never been black, hopefully, but it's now we have a red zone. So in Shanghai, when you had that couple of days ago, is in the what zone?
It's in low.
Is in low.
Just yeah, low.
Okay.
Only Xinjiang,
Xinjiang is red.
red, yeah,
Okay.
and
Wuhan?
Inner Mongolia.
Yeah, Mongolia, I know that. And Wuhan, is
Yeah.
it also red or, sorry, is it medium?
Middle,
Medium.
medium, they are medium.
So you're saying that the medium and high risk are not accepted to run in the marathon, right?
Yeah, it's very,
Okay. Good.
everything we must follow the government.
Yeah.
And if something now, we just hope that just wish, and there's no any question, no problems in Guangzhou.
Okay.
So
Okay. I think it's kind of, but we have to follow that rules anyway. I think at least it's glad that you had that event running. For the 9,000 is still big. I mean, given the current situation.
9,000 is not the last year's is 10 times about that.
Yeah, but you know, if we look at the 120,000 lineup to register, but only allowed 9,000, I think it's still big.
Yeah, still big. Yeah. Now in China, many people like running. They are just now running is very popular here.
Yeah.
More and more popular.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe people, there are some big press.
Yeah, Jen. In here in this room also, we have from the government authority, especially in the the Department of Health of the province, Jakarta province. Ibu, thank you for coming as well. I'd like to ask about what kind of the tests in your country, aside from the NAT, the nucleic acid test certificate. Okay. That's actually the DNA or RNA virus windows, right? Which is to prevent the virus in the temporary, in terms of temporary. But what kind of do you have also the tests in your country, like swab, PCR allowed for this race, or it's only the NAT?
That's not don't need.
Oh, you don't do any of the PCR or the swab?
Swab.
Yeah. The larynx through the nose.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, you do that as well, right?
Okay. Right.
Because it's quite expensive, and it's quite costly as well. And I know that the Borobudur Marathon being held a week ago also had that kind of the swab test. And given the fact that it's not easy for the next upcoming race in Indonesia to have that race, even with the the rapid tests, which is for the the antibody tests, which is maybe that's the minimum that we require. Basically, how do you manage to have the NAT certificate, for the entire runners? How do you manage? How do people get that certificate from?
They just buy them to do that.
Do you organize the certain tests, or they do have their own tests for the NAT?
Don't just call we connect with the hospital, several hospitals, one, and informs the patients this to this hospital and this 100 to this and 100 to this hospital, and one day, not a group, all of them to do that together. Just somebody morning and afternoon like that.
Okay, well, interesting. It's like you manage in the small portion of the hospital, appointed hospital, right? So before that, I want to give it to the floor. Whether there's questions or ada yang mau nanya? Oh, oke, Pak, dari Taman Mini. Jen aja, panggil Jen. Jen namanya. Jen Liwang.
Hello, Mr. Chen.
Hi,
Good evening.
good evening.
Would you like to give a question to you that Mr. Mawardi, may I say, would you please to give applause to Mr. Ting? Because you are so very brave because of the pandemic of COVID-19. You still give the activity about marathon or race about in November. I think
Thank you.
9,000 is so very, very crowded. It's so very crowded about it. And I
From
would
your
like
doctor's
to make question to you that what about the government? What about the police and medical? All of them allow to your activity like this? Thank you.
and the security from the police, the medical, the nurses, all of them with a mask. And the medical aides, they just wear the like the total one, and the police the masks.
So all of them
The-
allow about your activity?
Pardon, bag.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And we have a director of in charge of this area, this part. He has a very clear schedule step to avoid.
Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Hi. Introduce me. I'm Reza from Media, Info Car Free Day. We here salute and realize that in respect with the Shanghai Marathon a couple of days ago, it's one of the effort for China to prove to the world that you and China are, is doing an effort to get rid of the COVID. Here, if there is some kind of a massive event, then the day after, and then the newspaper are booming. So just a simple question. So after the Shanghai Marathon, is there, how is the progress about the pandemic Is it getting more? Or, yeah, because here, social media
Yeah.
here, newspaper here.
Yeah.
So after one single massive event, then boom. So just one question. Tomorrow, how about the day after the Shanghai event, marathon? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Not Shanghai is not the first here in China. First, 1 month ago, or 1 month and a half, Xi'an Marathon. Xi'an, North Xi'an Marathon is the first, and they hold it in October.
Your connection.
And then Hangzhou Marathon weeks ago, Hangzhou 3 weeks, and Hangzhou is not Hangzhou. They make a job, and from the result, it's no problem. So Shanghai then just the decision, and because Shanghai is the biggest city here, and Hangzhou do, and also Taiwan Marathon is in November 1st, and Taiwan in the north of China. Hangzhou is in the south. Taiwan Marathon also a well done race, and, but not Taiwan, Xi'an, they only 5,000 or like not too many. And then Shanghai is, and some smaller ones, were held before Shanghai. So Guangzhou first, Guangzhou have a plan to invite the elite overseas athletes, but from the end of September, but in October, late October, just canceled the elite part. Yeah, overseas elite, and we don't decided not to elite overseas because at first we just promised to give them the quarantines for 14 days from the organized committee. But I remember that is 1 month ago or 3 months ago, there's some interest in even in Beijing. There were cases there. Guangzhou for overseas elite. Now, I think the overseas elite must wait to next, maybe next April, because we have a long spring festival. The spring festival on the end of January, early February, last for nearly 1 month. So.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. Maybe this is the last questions from us before we close the session today. Is it okay? I mean, we still have 2 minutes at least. We still have 2 minutes at least. Now I forgot what I'm asking. Okay, Jen. Basically, for the next event, yeah, or maybe this your event. do you get the full support from the government, or
Yes.
Because the authority maybe definitely is the government itself, right? Do you have the full support from the government?
Yeah, we have talked. First, we talk with the several meetings, conferences with them, and in China, the races are partly taken part in with the government. Government like they give you security, the medical and even don't need, but the security is there, and the transports must communicate with government. And at this period, is not, and government worried a lot.
Okay.
Afraid of some. But they, I think Guangzhou government want to do something at first. They just really want to even want to invite the elite athletes.
You have to get the approval from the government as well.
But at last, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Beijing government, they think a lot. Yeah, and last canceled.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Well, I think we have all the informations brief gathered already. Thank you very much, Jane, for your sharing. I know it's such a sudden that you have to have you also on board, but we do really appreciate. And again, congratulations to the Shanghai Marathon we just held a couple of days ago. Please don't go anyway, Jian, because of after this we're gonna have the quick photo session with Mr. Tanaka-san. Is still around? We're still on screen. Can we have a picture together?
Sure.
So, okay. Masih ada? There you go. Wow,
Okay.
Tanaka-san is online.
Hi.
Wow. You look
Hello.
great. You look great, man.
Thank you.
So we can have a photo session right now. Mungkin panitia 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Photo session.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Wow. Ayo, ya hilang, keburu hilang, Mas. Enggak, nih soalnya dadakan yang ini. Oke, kasih kode ya. 1, 2, 3.
3. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hope you are in good shape. Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you very much, Tanaka-san.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your sessions, and also it's really a great pleasure to have all of the speakers today, this first session, and big thanks, and also hopefully we can see each other. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, I give it back to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pandang, for guiding us through the first session. We took notes and have learned a lot from each panelist and each market. Okay, we are going to have another important sessions in the next evening from Boston Marathon and Dubai Marathon after the dinner break. And once again, we would like to thank you very much, the distinguished Deputy Minister for Tourism Products and Events, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic Indonesia, Ibu Rizky Handayani, the Director of Tourism Products and Special Interest, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic Indonesia, Ibu Adela Raung, the distinguished speakers, Mr. Dave Murphy, Boston Marathon, Manabu Tanaka-san, Sports Director of Tokyo Marathon, Dr. Jim Baharal, President CEO of Honolulu Marathon, Ms. Li Wang, Associate Professor of Sport Department of China Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alan Evans, Standard Chartered Dubai Marathon, Mr. Larry Badlow, Thailand Road Race. Ministry of Sport and Youth of Republic Indonesia, Director of Industry and Promotion Product, Ibu Sri Wahyuni, Event Coordinator of Ministry of Health of Republic Indonesia, Bapak Iman Surahman, Head of Health Department Office Jakarta, Ibu Dr. Widya Stuti, Head of Tourism and Creative Economy Jakarta, Bapak Gumilar Ekalaya, Head of Sports and Youth Jakarta Office, Bapak Ahmad Firdaus, Police Office Jakarta, Bapak Kombes Yusri Yunus, Bapak Kombes Herbak Wahyu Setiawan, Venue Directors Bapak Tanri Bali Lamo atau yang mewakili Taman Mini Indonesia Indah, Bapak Leo Director of PPK GBK Senayan Jakarta, Indonesia Professional Sports Body, BOPI, Bapak Kusnaini, and all participants who's joining this conference both in virtual and ladies and gentlemen here. Please give a big applause for all of us. Okay, for virtual participants, please rejoin at 6:30 p.m. because we're gonna have a break dinner shortly. And for the ladies and gentlemen who are here with us, the dinner will be served at the restaurant from 5:30 p.m. Dan untuk Bapak Ibu yang mungkin membutuhkan musola, untuk bapak-bapaknya ada di lantai 25, dan untuk ibu-ibu ada di lantai 23. Kemudian bapak-bapaknya di lantai 25, Pak. Oke. Bagaimana? Tadi informasi terakhir adalah bapak-bapak di lantai 25? Ditukar ya? Oke, baik. Bapak-bapak di lantai 23 ya? Oke, baik. Ibu-ibu di lantai 25 ya? Baik. Sekali lagi diinformasikan restoran akan dibuka pukul 5.30 p.m. ya. Oke, please return to the room by 6:30 p.m. Silakan kembali ke ruangan ini jam 6.30 malam karena kita akan melanjutkan ke sesi selanjutnya. Thank you.